Boarding houses aim to provide affordable, low-cost, standard housing accommodation, specifically for people who do not have the need or affordability to pay rent by traditional housing accommodation.
What are the benefits of a boarding house property investment? Are boarding houses profitable?
That's a good question. Generally, boarding houses give better returns than traditional residential properties. It is common for boarding house investment properties to return double or sometimes more the gross income of similar price residential estate, at the same time enjoying similar capital gains because they're in the residential areas most of the time. Recent net returns have been around the 6 to 8% mark versus traditional residential sitting on the 2-3% net mark. Multi-million dollar housing, $4 or $5 million plus housing, is close to half that return. They're basically like blocks of units, probably traditionally return 3-4% return. So they're like running a residential apartment block, but the return is close to double the return. They're usually studio, sometimes one bedroom units, and the limit is 2 persons per room.
Are there any other advantages?
Yeah, good question. As affordable housing, there can be tax advantages, such as reduced land tax. This depends on where the place is and the rent charged.
Where can they be built?
As well as commercial areas that can also be developed in residential areas, subject to certain conditions. They can be.
What are the conditions?
There are height restrictions, like all developments in the area. You also may be allowed to increase the building areas, sometimes 25%, maybe more in some areas. As residential housing is in short supply in most cities and major regional areas of the country, most councils encourage boarding house development.
What are the features of boarding houses? What is a boarding house? Tenancy.
The features of boarding houses provide lodgers with short-term rental residency for a period of 3 months or more. They may have separate or shared bathroom, kitchen, laundry, and living common areas. Part or all of the area of the building can be rented out for lodging.
What are the other special requirements for these boarding house property investments?
So you may have a mixed building where you've got maybe retail downstairs and you have a boarding house upstairs, possible. Again, it depends on the council, the city, state, country. It varies.
Any other requirements?
Yeah, that's a good question. Rooming house development proposal should be appropriately designed to be in harmony with the local area. Most of the time, they're there. They've had this stigma about being drug addicts, alcoholics, homeless people. Most times, where they are, the people are just like everyone else in the area. Stigma about it over the years, that has changed a lot, a hell of a lot. It should also be close to public transport. There should be appropriate landscaping, property setback to be congruent with the existing streetscape.
Anything else?
Yeah, there are other requirements generally, depending on where the property is, of course. Usually they include things like at least one communal living area required in a house for the residents. Boarding house is more than 5 standard boarding rooms. The lodging house must have a reasonable kitchen, bathroom, shared facilities within the complex. Self-contained preparations and bathrooms are allowed, but not a requirement for each room. In addition, an on-site manager is required. Accommodation has more than 20 residents. Again, it may depend on the area you're in. When a boarding house is in a commercial zone, the floor which fronts the street cannot be used for residential purposes. The only exception is if other planning instrument requires it. Usually, developments I've been associated with, I try to encourage the facilities like a mini kitchen and a bathroom within the individual areas for maintenance. Shared areas, which it's possible, allowed, it becomes harder to manage.
I'm really interested. How can I go about finding out if my residential property is suitable?
Yeah, we have helped many investors like you with boarding house conversions. feel free to contact us when you're ready for an obligation assessment.